So we're very happy to have a special guest with us today who came to Texas to stand with us. You know her from her role on Grey's Anatomy, Sara Ramirez. Sara is a queer bisexual Latina. She's a biracial Mexican-Irish immigrant. And she's here today because she cares about equality, because she is an activist for justice, and because she wants to shine a light on the experiences of trans Texans, especially trans women of color. Sara.
Thank you so much.
We feel, we hear your pain, your fear, but we're here to say who you are is okay. And you don't have to go through this on your own. You're not alone. You have more friends than you know. You have more friends than you know. As a queer, bisexual, woman of color, immigrant, biracial, Mexican, Irish, American, I acknowledge the various identities and privileges that allow me to speak in front of you here today. I am here because I love my LGBTQ plus family. This is an expansive family, an inclusive group of many people from many walks of life, immigrants, undocumented, different belief systems. We are an inclusive family. And I love my LGBTQ plus family. And I stand in solidarity with the transgender, gender expansive community. Our LGBTQ plus family is under attack again, and it's not okay. I read a statement by Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick recently that I found so interesting, and I quote, "Texans count on us to ensure that the sanctity and dignity of life is protected." Let's look at the definition of dignity. Dignity, bless you. Dignity, the idea that a being has an innate right to be valued, respected, and to receive ethical treatment. SB 6 goes directly against this definition. Loving thy neighbor as thyself means making sure all Texans have equal rights and the same access to bathrooms. Amen. So let's look at some of the most harmful aspects of SB 6 and how it is pushing a false narrative about the transgender and gender expansive community. SB 6 is not actually about public safety, no. It discriminates against transgender people and would inhibit their participation in public life. Transgender Texans have been using bathrooms for years with no reports of them doing anything inappropriate in those spaces. That's right, zero. This bill is a solution in search of a problem. It is a fact that 85% of transgender Texans have experienced harassment because of their gender identity or expression. 46% have experienced physical assault. And in the past year, 69% of transgender Texans avoided using a public restroom because they were afraid of confrontations or other problems they might experience. Transgender Texans, like all Texans, need to use public restrooms and other gender-segregated spaces without fear for their safety or scrutiny. SB 6 undermines that need by nullifying present ordinances and forbidding future ordinances that provide transgender non-discrimination protections in bathrooms. SB 6 is cruel and unnecessary. SB 6 also mandates that all crimes committed in bathrooms or changing facilities be raised by 1 degree, moving the focus from the severity of a crime to the location of it. Queer, trans, and gender-expansive youth represent just 5% to 7% of the nation's overall youth population, but they compose 13% to 15% of those currently in the juvenile justice system. SB 6 does more harm by unfairly criminalizing these youth, many of whom are pipelined through the system into homelessness. Here are some positive facts. 19 states and more than 200 cities across the U.S. have passed and successfully implemented public accommodation laws. None have experienced an increase in public safety incidents. Yes. Research shows that there is a real and substantial danger of emotional and physical harm when a transgender child is marginalized by a school or by peers, attributed in large part to preventable issues like lack of support, social isolation, and loneliness. Risks of depression, suicide, and self-harm are significantly reduced when a child's gender identity is affirmed, supported, and accepted. When the only accommodations schools make for transgender students are single-stall restrooms, such as the nurse's office, it often forces our students to hold it while the bathroom is sought out, creating unnecessary and humiliating situations for our most vulnerable youth. This can also lead to health problems like bladder or kidney infections. Evidence-based measures to protect children from sexual abuse would focus on the highest risk venues, which are private homes, not public restrooms. And these measures would focus on the highest risk perpetrators, which are heterosexual cis males. For those of you who don't know what cis male means, it's an assigned male at birth who identifies as a man. That is not transgender and gender expansive people. That is not transgender and gender expansive people. 70% of sexual assaults are committed by perpetrators known to the victim, not transgender strangers. There are many things that threaten our children, but transgender people using the restroom in peace is not one of them. All communities are strengthened when we practice fairness and inclusion. We will not let anyone criminalize our transgender and gender expansive youth or set them up for failure. I believe in respecting the dignity of our LGBTQ+ youth and motivating, educating, and empowering them to know they are safe to exist in public spaces. I am so honored to be introducing our next speaker. Andrea Molina is a trans woman who spends her life defending and protecting the rights of the trans community. She is a leader of the Organización Latina de Trans en Texas, and also does work with United We Dream, the Latino Institute, Gender Infinity, Welcoming to Houston Task Force, and the Texas Organizing Project. After a group of Latina trans women faced discrimination when using a restroom, Andrea founded OLTT in 2015. Through her work at the Organización, she works to support, defend the rights of, and create survival networks for the trans Latina community. The Organización offers Know Your Rights trainings, support services, outreach, volunteer opportunities, and power building. Of this work, Andrea has explained, we are not just an organization. We are like sisters. Everyone, please give a warm welcome to Andrea Molina.